It is Wednesday, June the 25th.
This is The Warning.
Donald Trump attacked Iran. Donald Trump appeared before the nation and made a claim. Here is what he said.
Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue.
Standing behind him was Champagne Pete, Little Marco, and J.D. Vance. All of them repeated the claim that the Iranian nuclear weapons program was destroyed. Now, it is interesting because just a few days earlier, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu claimed the Israelis had destroyed the Iranian nuclear program. And it begs the question, if Netanyahu and the Israelis destroyed the program, why would it be necessary for the United States to destroy the program? And so Donald Trump ordered in a reality television special made for television programming, branded absurdly around what he calls the 12-day war and his role as a warrior diplomat in ending it. He orders an attack, claiming the purpose of the attack is the imminence of an Iranian nuclear weapon, a fact refuted by his own national intelligence director. And so what Donald Trump has accomplished, no doubt, because he went for the head of the snake and missed, is the speeding up of the Iranian nuclear bomb program and the endangering of the peace of the world. It is said, according to many media reports, that there are 20 massive ordnance penetrator bombs of the type that were dropped on the Iranian mountain in the American arsenal. Now, there are 8 left. And the job was not finished because no Air Wing commander in the history of any Air Force ever would say that hardened targets buried deep in a mountain, no matter how spectacularly explosive the ordnance, can be guaranteed to destroy the hardened positions in the mountain on one raid, in one night. It might take 50 raids. And thus, here we are. The collision of performance and reality, supported by the malice of Trump and his henchmen, their venom, their delusion, their thirst for power, the corrupt media that cheerleads this obscenity, calls it victory, tells the American people they're safer, while ignoring completely the clear lessons of history over the last 20 years and the decisions of well-intentioned men and women of both parties that augured disaster and sentenced a generation of America's soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines to physical injury and moral injury in the service of 2 wars that the politicians lost because they lacked wisdom when it was necessary. They lacked vision when it was required. And so the ideologues prevailed, the delusionists overcame the truth tellers, and America went to war. And if there is one thing that every person in America should be able to agree on, it is that, boy, oh boy, is it much easier to start a war than to end one. And never in history, no matter how powerful a people may be, has it ever been the case that a country gets to start a war and declare it over on its own terms without response from a 40-year adversary. And so I urge you to watch Bibi Netanyahu over 30 years. This is the man who manipulated the commander-in-full to do his bidding, to launch an attack that missed the mark. And so when this is reported and reality confronts delusion, Trump decomposes. And the man who says, "Trust me," is the same man who couldn't tell the truth about an election and who has ordered into America's cities the United States Marine Corps and masked federal agents, a Trump stormtrooper, if you will, off their chain, off their leash, by the orders of some of the most powerful people in the American government. And every detail of those orders, every lack of restraint, every unprincipled action, every lawless sentence will one day be accounted for. And we see that right now in the confirmation of one of the most duplicitous, dishonest men who has ever, in the history of the Republic, been appointed, nominated by a president to an appellate bench, Emil Bove, whose dishonesty has caught up with him, as Chuck Schumer's fecklessness has caught up with him. What happened in New York City was a rejection of the Democratic establishment, who once again held a gun to the voter's head and said, us or that terrifying 33-year-old socialist. And you know what? The people of New York picked the 33-year-old young guy, the socialist promising free stuff, over the certain malignity of an Andrew Cuomo restoration. The establishment of the Democratic Party, headed by Chuck Schumer, who thinks he should pick the candidates all across the country while presiding over this in his backyard. And Chuck Schumer and Andrew Cuomo all stand on the same side of a line that whether you're a socialist Democrat or Democratic Socialist in New York, or a common sense Texas Democrat in Texas, people are rising up against. And it's necessary to rise up against it because of the masked agents in the streets and because of the lying about military attacks that missed the mark. It's necessary to rise up against this because nobody in the American government can be trusted to tell the truth. But there is a truth that's been told about so many people who cheerleaded these attacks. Before the smoke and rubble cleared, they were hailing Trump's great victory. Some of these people, the architects of the disaster a quarter century ago. Some of these people, Trump's most ardent foes, who think that somehow this liar, this degenerate, has the moral standing to launch an attack and can be counted on to tell the American people the truth about it. How naive can you be? And naivete is dangerous in the world where Donald Trump is president of the United States.
I'm Steve Schmidt. This is The Warning. I invite you to join this community where I promise to be honest, blunt, and direct about what is happening in this country. America is in crisis. Follow and subscribe to this channel and on Substack. Thank you.